So I'm not even going to bother hiding this person's name because anybody who watches my channel can see the name. The person that I'm debunking right about now is Mikkel McGroy 789, sorry. Number dyslexia. So she clearly doesn't bother to check any of the other videos that I have posted or any of the posts I've done on Facebook or anything like that, because if she did, she would already know the answer to this particular conundrum. But here's the most recent comment she left on one of my videos, in which I debunked every single comment that she made, including the fact that she can't seem to get my name right. But she didn't mention that in this new string of comments. She seems to think that it's her right to call me the wrong name when she knows for a fact what my correct name is. Anyway, so one comment that she made was, I mean John 1:1, since I pointed out that you said it was 1 John 1:1, and it's very clearly John 1:1. Then she said, more logical, sounds like your dad. Well, thanks a lot for giving me more PTSD. I really want to be equated to my dad. Then, the one that I'm currently about to read out loud from the screen says, I hate to say this, but, all capital letters, you might as well just call yourself, two separate words, a Muslim, mister, word mister, capital M-R dot, because they believe Jesus was just a good prophet. That's really what your Y-O-U-R instead of Y-O-U apostrophe R-E sounding like. And whatever you call this emoji, 5 times in a row. Okay, so debunking in progress. First of all, you really, really, really need to work on your English. Because I just pointed out like 3 or 4 issues with just your English by itself. I mean, for example, do you not understand that the apostrophe is used to denote letters that are missing in a 2-word conjunction? Your, meaning you are starting to sound like that, is Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, not Y-O-U-R, one word, meaning possessive. So, could you at least make an attempt to use proper English? Apparently not, but now here's the second thing. That is kind of religious discrimination in a really weird way. Because if you even bothered, which clearly she doesn't, but if you even bothered to check, you would realize this is what I am. Not Muslim. I've never once said that I believe Jesus was a good prophet. What I'm constantly trying to point out is that Christians trust in a liar. Christians trust someone to take them to a place that they can't prove is even real. The Bible even point blank says that by explaining that faith is the substance of things hoped for. The substance meaning material. For example, this phone has substance to it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. You build the thing, heaven, that you're hoping for out of faith. Trust. So you literally are accepting the fact that you are trusting something that you point blank cannot prove is even real. Nice. The evidence, and this is the one that to me is the biggest problem, the evidence of things not seen. If you cannot see something, you, scientifically speaking, which is what evidence is talking about, you scientifically should not believe in it if you cannot see it. Now, Some people are going to tell me that that means that I shouldn't believe that the earth is round. No, they brought physical evidence on multiple occasions. That being pictures from outer space, which if you just use your brain, logic, physics, science, all the above, you can figure out that those pictures are real. So there are things that I cannot currently see in front of me that I can prove are in fact real. Anything on a paranormal, supernatural, spiritual, religious, whatever you want to call it, level, you can't prove. I cannot prove the existence of God. I cannot prove that Jesus was God, other than a book translated by a bunch of human beings that I know for a fact contradicts itself. And if the evidence that I have contradicts itself, but happens to be corroborated by history, I'm still not going to trust it, because I don't trust something that does not agree with itself. So I'm not trying to say that I think that Jesus was a good prophet. I never once said that. I simply am trying to explain why I personally don't think that calling him God in some moments and not calling him God in other moments, calling him sinless when it's very obvious that he is not sinless, calling him all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving, when it's obvious that that is not the case, all these different things that Christians apply to him that can be easily debunked, I don't do that. And then, when I personally have had better experience with the other side of the fence than I ever had with the side of the fence that wears a crucifix, is it any surprise that I switched over to a different religion that seems to work out better for me? And then these people keep coming along and proving my point, blindly following something. And by the way, just for the record, Cass might start laughing at this point because of what I'm about to say. I don't know. I can't speak for Cass. But did anybody besides me notice that telling me that I should call myself a Muslim is called a deflection? Instead of admitting or answering the point, which she never did, by the way, none of her recent comments were answering the points made. They were skirting around it. That's called a red herring. Skirting around because you don't have an answer. In other words, you don't want to admit that I'm right. Because anybody with two brain cells rubbed together could tell you that every single thing that I have said about these people bashing the snot out of me for something that is true is just true. Jesus is a liar. Jesus is a murderer. Why would you trust in someone who supposedly is sinless, who very clearly is not? Why would you trust in someone who will not prove his existence besides a book that is questionable at this point, at best, and in some cases is flat out discreditable if you're going by the scientific method? Most people who have a brain don't. So, all that to say this. If you guys, not the general public, I'm going to put a picture of their profiles on the screen here. If these two people who constantly are bashing me about my religious beliefs and the fact that I'm using my free speech to explain why I believe the way that I do, if you guys can't give me actual reasons why what I'm saying is wrong, which, by the way, just telling me that Jesus is God, which I already have explained why that's faulty. If that's your only explanation, and I've already debunked it, just admit defeat. But I know you won't, because you're Bible-thumping Christian Baptists. And no, I'm not trying to become these obnoxious Facebook people that I'm constantly harping against by calling people names. That's not why I'm calling them Bible-thumping Baptists. I just happen to know they are Baptists, and they're trying to Bible thump. They're not doing a horrifically good job at it, but they're trying to Bible thump. So, long story short, it's your move. And I am calling you out to the entire internet. Step up your game. I'll even go a step further. Inconsistency. Point number 1. You call Jesus God in one moment and then ignore that fact in another one. Pick one or the other. Inconsistency needs updating. I never once said that I believe he's a good prophet. So quit putting words in my mouth. 3. Check all the facts. Don't just watch one video and decide you know everything about what I believe. You clearly do not. I have called out what my religion is numerous times in past videos, but you don't bother checking that. The evidence is right there within your access, and you just conveniently decide you don't want to use it. So, the 3 points that I am calling you out on: become consistent. Don't put words in your opponent's mouth. And check all the evidence when it's available to you. When you can do those 3, come back. And if you don't do those 3 and come back, I am going to point blank call you out as a hypocrite. Okay?